didn't get a countdown this time.
Oh, yeah, I saw it. Pound the
All
wall.
right. Well, hey, we're here at the conference championships, y'all.
Yeah,
Conference
man.
championships, a Pound the Walk podcast.
We got 4 teams remaining. Only 2 will remain after these games for the big bowl. So we are near the end of the completion of the season. It's been fun. Divisional round was, if I recall, much more fun than the wild card matchups, especially for a Chargers fan. So yeah, I guess we'll dive right into it. This shit was fun, man. Let's reflect on it, and then we'll show our picks for this week, and we'll talk Super Bowl, obviously. So it's awesome, man. It's awesome stuff. Thanks for tuning in always, y'all. This has been an amazing journey.
It's been a good season, man.
Been consistent.
Appreciate everyone sticking around. It's the first time we ever tried this. I had fun. I don't know, hopefully y'all got a little bit of insight, from 2 people who spend way too much time watching football.
Yeah, just like your average American. Shout out my boy Spencer, by the way. He texted me yesterday. He goes, dude, no podcast this week? So he's tough. He actually
shout out
waits.
Spencer, man.
He waits for the videos to drop. It's amazing. The fact that he texted me made me feel good. So
that's awesome,
yeah.
Man. That's shout out Spencer, man. We got to get him on maybe for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, shit. The Skins play. He's a big Skins fan. I'll try to FaceTime him here, like maybe at the end, if I remember, and we'll see what happens. He might answer, but if not, no big deal. No promises.
All right, now. Well, let's talk about the divisional round. I had a lot of fun watching these. Let's get into it.
Yeah, shit was. I mean, the wild card games were still obviously playoff football is great, but these games were a little bit more competitive, I would say. At least most of them. And yeah, we'll jump right into it. Houston at Kansas City. We obviously got that one right. It played out very similar to the way we thought it would, right? I mean, at least I did. It wasn't like, once again, Kansas City isn't going to put 30 points up. They're just going to play elite defense and expose teams that don't have a good line. The Chiefs do what they do. Travis Kelce looked like a beast, had a few great run after the catch. It was bad tackling, but Travis Kelce is one of those guys who has great balance, I guess. Like, he just knows how to protect the football. He's not Mark Andrews. There we go. That's what I mean. He turns up the field, plays like a real white man. That's how a white man runs a football type thing. So I like it.
All right, Stone Cold. All right, Steve Austin.
What movie was that, y'all?
Yeah, that's definitely Air Bud. Travis Kelce, he had a hell of a game. I think he was the only one really producing there on the receiving core. Had a tutty over 100 yards. But shout out KC defense. I think they ended the game 8 sacks, 70 tackles. I think getting to CJ like that really resulted in just the 1 touchdown for Houston. They had a couple field goals. The KC defense, doing what they had to do. I think we both saw that one going the way it did.
Yeah, there was that one. I mean, there was a few, I'm sure, especially for Texans fans, there was a few questionable calls, but there was that one, I think it was like on the third down, like 3rd and long too. Kansas City didn't convert. I think it was Kansas City with the ball. And yeah, it had to be. And then they called like some stupid ass illegal hands to the face or something like that to the D-line. It was something along those lines. It's one of those things that's like, dude, I don't know. I've never seen that happen for anyone else other than Kansas City. Go Bills this week, man. That's all I'll say. But yeah, Kansas City still, their defense is nasty, man. Holding the Texans to 14 points in playoff football. They're going to win.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, and then we had, this is, I'm kind of glad I got this wrong. The Commies at Detroit. I think there was, 4 interceptions, strip sack. I mean, Washington's defense came to
flying
shit up, and they absolutely did. Not to take anything away from their offense. JD had a couple tutties in the air. Huge game.
Yeah, that's it. This game. I mean, I've been thinking about it a lot, and I swear I said this before last week. I was like, dude, they're gonna play like they did against the Bucks, which is kind of like the Lions' form of football, also, where they gamble. They go for it on 4th downs, and this is any given Sunday, or I guess Saturday for this situation, where you guys are gambling. Whoever wins those 4th down conversions, whoever has more converted, is gonna win the game, and I think that's basically what happened. And you got Detroit running their typical like double reverse passes, and guess what? It's getting picked off instead of getting scored on. Like, they made the difference, and man, their defense looked completely different than they've looked all year, flying around, making tackles and getting picks. I mean, they've always played high intensity football all year, but dude, the DBs showed up. Sanders still the rookie from Michigan, he balled out. So I'm all in, man. I know last week I picked them, and then this we'll talk about it. But shout out Washington, dude. Jaden Daniels is
Yeah,
that dude.
Washington. Yeah, it was a great game to watch, man. It was a lot of fun, especially when it's high scoring like that. You know, let's give credit where it's due to. Terry McLaurin has been the star of their receiving core for this entire season, but then Divy Brown, he stepped up in a huge way
Yeah,
this week. So they're starting to spread the ball around. B Rob was efficient on the ground.
yeah, falling forward. It was great. And another thing I meant to say, what I was just saying is like, it's always been about protect the football, especially once you get into postseason play. But for most teams now in the NFL, it's like it's not only protect the football, it's convert fourth downs. Like it's like a whole other dynamic to football now that teams like Detroit and unfortunately Brandon Staley and the Chargers a couple years ago started really doing, and a lot of teams do it now. It's like they talk about all those logistics to it. So it's like you got to protect the football and you got to convert fourth downs, and that's what Washington did against the fucking Goliath of the NFL right now. So that was amazing, dude. That was
Yeah,
amazing.
it was an incredible game to watch. I think Washington has a real good shot.
Yes.
We'll get into that here in a little bit, but shout out Washington. Amazing game to watch. Shut up a lot of people. They have a ton of momentum right now. Love to see them take it all the way.
Hell yeah. I'm on that wagon, dude, the Washington wagon. But let's get it into Sunday here. I was wrong on this one. I thought the Rams were going to pull through against Philly. We had a snow game. I think snow hit at like halftime, around halftime. Is that the
Yeah,
game
it
I'm thinking?
started.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
it started to come down, and that's kind of where I was saying last week.
yeah,
Being in Philadelphia with the weather coming,
yeah. And
it did seem
Saquon.
to influence it there in the second half of the game. So that home field advantage is a huge thing, especially for a warm weather team that plays indoors.
Yeah,
Coming out there, they had a hard time, and it definitely showed. Matt
yeah.
Stafford's like 73 years old now, so
That
arthritis is starting to
sucks.
kick in when it gets cold. But
Yeah,
Saquon had over
yeah.
200 yards and two tutties, and in weather like that, that's a huge difference maker, and it definitely showed.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that too hard, I guess. And what I also didn't look into is I think Matt Stafford. I'm not pulling this number on my ass. I could be wrong. It's somewhere close to it. He's like 1-8 or something like that in snow games. And I think they were saying one of his last notorious snow games. I don't know if it was. Yeah, it was when he was with the Lions. I don't know what year, but it was against Philly, and LeSean McCoy had like 200 something yards, and Matt Stafford did not produce. And I'll give Stafford credit when he was getting the ball out of his hands, he was still putting throwable balls. It just the receivers couldn't get their feet going downfield. And then, like you said, arthritis. He literally was just like couldn't hold on to the ball. Like he would get sacked, and the ball would just drop and be dead still on the ground in the snow. But I will never bet against Saquon Barkley in the snow ever again for the rest of
Yeah,
my life. That's basically what I'll get out of that.
there you go. Well,
Yeah.
Philly took it. So we're obviously, if you look at the Reds and Greens, nothing's going to change overall. But we can
Yeah, I'm
talk
down
about
6.
Baltimore at Buffalo. That was another great game to watch.
Yeah, awesome.
I had a lot of
Awesome
fun
game.
watching this one.
Yeah, I mean, we brought it up earlier, or I did. There was a few people you could, put the blame on. I'm sure Ravens fans are still hurt about it. I mean, directly though, like Mark Andrews dropping that 2-point conversion, and also the possession literally like right prior, him trying to like look like Barry Sanders, like hitting a step back instead of just running fucking downfield when you have like open field ahead of you, you're gonna fumble the ball. The football gods won't let that slide. So that, and then also, yeah, Lamar's fumble was super big and pivotal. The early pick, like they were in a momentum. They could have like 2 consecutive scoring drives, I believe, on that. And it was a terrible deep ball. Uh, hate to be like this, but that's what separates him and Jaden Daniels. Boom, drops Mike.
The mistakes that were made certainly cost them. Obviously, Buffalo played a much cleaner game as far
Yeah,
as interceptions and fumbles. Where they lost 2 fumbles. Lamar threw a pick.
yeah,
You can argue that Josh Allen didn't have the biggest game in the air. I think he only had 160 yards, but that shows you that he can get it done with his legs too. He had two on the ground,
Yeah.
and stats don't necessarily mean you're the more valuable player. I think what
Yeah,
Josh Allen did.
what do we value? Wins. Like they just want. I mean, yeah, they didn't win the head-to-head early in the season, and that's when Lamar was super MVP, like early in the year. But this cements it, right? Like if I'm a voter, you got to put this into the role. Like, dude,
I
he
mean,
beat you.
if it was a split decision where you could go either way, I think this absolutely has to influence it a bit. Yes,
Yeah,
Lamar had bigger numbers throughout the season, and yes, he had higher stats in this game. Less the pick, um, but that's not what matters. It's what you do to influence the game and how your presence on the field, ultimately determines the end of it. And it shows that, sure, you have more yards in the air than me, but I figured it out other ways. Um, Oh, and I think honestly the Ravens have a stronger supporting cast than Buffalo does, in my opinion.
yeah. At this
Um,
point, I'd agree.
so and for you to still lose that game, it was a close game, but at the same time, that's going to influence my MVP pick. So shout out Josh Allen, man. Hope he really fucks up KC this week.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with everything you said, especially with hopefully they beat KC. Lamar, I mean, even if he wins MVP, it's like I know if I was a Ravens fan, what matters is championships. I'm sure he can earn one. I'm sure he will eventually, maybe get to the bowl. But man, it must be frustrating to be a Ravens fan right now. It seems like the same thing every year. I've always thought Harbaugh is obviously that dude, but shit, if you have this such an elite roster and also just elite performing team like they've had in other years, exactly like last year too, and you still can't pull through. You haven't won a fucking gotten the Super Bowl for like over 10 years now, 15 years almost. Maybe you start talking about changing directions with coaching. I don't know. I don't know.
It's a tough decision because I mean obviously they have great years year over year. I don't necessarily think the Ravens typically have too many really bad seasons. Maybe an average one here or there, but they're usually a very dominating team. But for that, you know, to be such a dominant team with such a stacked roster, and for you to come up
Yeah.
short to the Super Bowl year over year over year, it's a tough decision, right? I mean, you're a winning team, and it's fun up until the one game where it's no longer fun, and it seems like a
Yeah.
recurring theme there. Um, you know, but you can also say the same thing with Indianapolis Colts. Back the 2000s, right? They would dominate, and they do have really good seasons, but then they play New England, and that'd be it. So
All that matters is getting that one ring, right? Yeah. So like that's what it really matters. Like you reflect on Peyton's career. Oh, he won a Super Bowl. That's the simple minded thought to it. So I don't know. If I'm a Ravens owner, I'm riding with Harbaugh still. Like it's like another Tomlin. Like hey, Tomlin hasn't been in the bowl in a while. No one's saying this about Tomlin. So it's just such a great roster. You got to win with. But Buffalo
yeah, it's
also.
tough, man. But Buffalo, they've had a hell of a year, man, and I don't know. They deserve to make it, man, and I really hope that that's the case.
Yeah. So that officially kills. I mean, because you had Lions Texans in the beginning of the year.
I did,
I had
and then
Chiefs Niners, but I'm not swinging any bit that way anymore. I guess we'll dive right into it. I mean, we're not talking power rankings anymore. Obviously, we dive right into this
no,
our
just talk about
conference
it.
pick.
I don't
Yeah,
even have a graphic for this just because it's just the
yeah,
two games.
yeah.
It's
I
pretty
figured.
simple.
Yeah, I didn't send you picks. So yeah, I mean, we got literally an hour and a half from now will be kickoff or right before kickoff of Washington at Philly for the NFC Championship game. Oh shit, I didn't even notice that. Jacoby Brissett. That shit's
Jacoby
hard.
Brissett with
That's
my
hard.
Andrew Luck sleeve sticking
Sleeve.
out.
Yeah, I was like, is that custom? It's a Jacoby Brissett sleeve,
It's
like from the
yeah. So
Colt.
he's got the Colt sleeve with
Yeah.
the
Is that actually Brissett Colts jersey?
no.
Okay, I was
No.
hoping. Is it
It
McAfee?
would be funny though because it is
Anyway.
still 12.
Yeah, I was about to say, dude. I saw the one. Yeah, that's hilarious. We'll just stick with that actually. Yeah, it's like his mom and dad wears that to the game.
Exactly. So I'm really looking forward to this game. Actually, probably more than the Bills Chiefs game. To be
Yeah.
honest, obviously we're local. Um, I'm riding Washington, man. With if you can do that to Detroit, who was the powerhouse of the NFC for the entire season, I don't see
Hmm.
how you can't do that to a division rival that you play multiple times a year, and you've also beat earlier in the year with a hurt Jalen Hurst. So I'm riding Washington, man.
Yeah, I am too. The momentum they have, the way their defense looked, and then I think the most important thing that we haven't really touched base on yet is, and I haven't looked into it myself as of the last few days, but Jalen Hurts' knee injury seemed to be major enough last week to where it's going to have to be lingering this week. I'm sure they're going to shoot him up with a bunch of stuff. But hey, reminds me a little bit of when the Chargers went to the AFC Championship the one time in my life, where Phillip Rivers tore his ACL the game prior, and he refused to not play. They didn't even talk about it, but then he comes out in the game, and he's clearly more immobile than ever. So imagine someone like Jalen Hurts. You completely throw a whole nother dynamic out the window. If I'm Washington, I am double teaming, spying Saquon in the box, stacking the box. If you contain Saquon to even like 80, 90 yards, 100 yards, you win the game. Like you just don't let Saquon run all over you. Marshawn Lattimore, do your best to contain AJ Brown, and their defense just in general plays the way they did last week. I'm picking a healthy Jaden Daniels over even like a healthy Jalen Hurts. So give
No,
me Washington.
absolutely. It's I know. I think it's like a 64-36. Everyone's leaning more towards Philly right now, and I like that. I like that. Washington's coming in as the underdog. They're
Yeah.
got a rookie quarterback who. I mean, last year they were one of the worst teams in the league. They had the
Yeah.
second overall pick, and for you to come in and just say "fuck you" to Dan Snyder, that you were the fucking problem. We're here
Yeah.
now.
Beautiful.
I love the story, and I'm going Washington all day.
Yeah, it gives me goosebumps. Like, no, I mean, the only thing better would be the fucking Chargers there. But anyways, yeah, it gives me goosebumps. It makes me feel good. I'm praying to the football gods that Washington goes to the Super Bowl. I never would have imagined this like at all this year. Even with the way they were playing, we were saying that. Like I remember when they traded for Marshawn Lattimore. Hopefully I said it here in the podcast. I know I said it in real life. That's like a Super Bowl move. That's like, oh, that's a win now move. So it's paying off. Marshawn Lattimore has helped that defense with their mentality and sticking to a number one receiver. Even though I mean Mike Evans cooked him a little, but he contained. He did what he had to do. And he stayed confident. That's what a DB is all about. So they got the pieces. They're healthy. Dan Quinn hypes them up like no one else. I swear, he's like another Dan Campbell out there. So get a coach with the first name Dan or something. I don't know.
So Dan's are cooking this year.
Dan's the
So,
man.
but I mean, he does play similar to Dan Campbell. I mean, he takes the risk when it makes sense. He doesn't like to leave it up to special teams. He knows he has a great offense.
Yeah.
He's going to lay it out on the field. He's not going to go home and kind of regret not making the decision. He's going to go home and say, "Well, I did it. We tried our best. We came up short." And they haven't come up short too often this season. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're riding Washington. And I think we both know we're both picking the Bills
Yeah.
for the later game there as well. I
Yeah.
think first of all, like fuck you, KC. Second, Buffalo's already beat them. In Buffalo, to take out that Ravens team the way that they did, was it in huge blowout fashion? Absolutely not. But you contained a Derrick Henry, you contained a Lamar Jackson. They
Yeah.
found the way to win. They've been finding ways to win all season. They have great momentum. They haven't been in this position since the early '90s, I believe, since the last time they've been to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be great to stop the KC's three-peat.
Yeah.
They have a lot to play for, man. And I think they're super hot. They haven't really been here in a while, so I'm going Buffalo.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, kind of like what you were saying earlier with the Colts and the whole Peyton Manning era. I mean, the Bills are kind of like in that their boat now. I mean, their Tom Brady and Patriots is the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. And obviously, I'm sure they're pissed they're not hosting this one, because that's a big deal. But they got to get over the hump regardless. And I mean, they've seen them so many times that you would imagine it's got to happen. And this is the most underperforming offense we've seen in Kansas City. They do protect the ball fairly well. You see a forced turnover, 1, 2, and they're coming to a game where they just played, like you said, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Now you got to play Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. I'm not saying they aren't good backs and a good duo together, but that's a step down in talent. So contain them. Don't let Pat Mahomes get away with his Pat Mahomes bullshit, tiptoeing on the sidelines. And yeah, I think Buffalo's going to get this one. We can't forget that Kansas City isn't as good as as a lot of people say they are just because of their seeding. You know what I mean?
No, I mean the only thing KC I think really has over Buffalo right now is that Taylor Swift Black Magic. So
Yeah, we'll see what
I
happens with
guess
that.
I guess that's the only X factor that I'm not considering. But I think Josh Allen is an elite quarterback, but for him to get to that legendary status that hopefully he gets to one day, he's got to get to a Super Bowl. He's got to get a ring. And this is, like you said, this is the hump that they have to get over to prove that this he's that guy. So um, I'm excited either way. Both of these games are going to be electric, I think. Yeah. So
Let's run it, man. We're literally an hour and a half away to start seeing this shit. So I'm
we are.
excited. I'm excited,
I'm
and I hope the
excited.
viewers are going to be excited too as they hear this, man. Because next thing you know, the game's probably about to be starting right as you start watching this shit. So
Absolutely. So we're going to keep it short here. We're about at 20, 21 minutes now.
perfect
I think
timing.
we have a good parlay though. If you want to
Yes.
make a little bit of money.
Fuck yeah. I guess we did. Yeah, we did a 4-leg parlay. One leg each from both games. So first leg I have for this 3 o'clock game is a Brian Robinson anytime touchdown. I like the odds. Also, I mean, I could see even a 4th and short goal line. Pound the rock.
There we
Bijan.
go.
I mean Brian. Fuck.
Brian. It'd be nice to him say
Yeah.
Lige, but my leg is going to be a Zach Ertz alternate receptions. I got 4+.
Yeah. Against the old team. I love it.
Old team. I think it's poetic. I hope he cooks them. I hope he gets 10 touches and 200 yards. But
Yeah, hits 4 in the
um,
fourth quarter. I mean, first quarter, my bad.
there we go. Yeah, let's just close this one out early, right?
Hell yeah.
And then we both have a leg from the Buffalo and KC game. I have Travis Kelce alternate receiving yards 60+. Last week he showed that he was probably the guy to go to in the air. They gave him significantly more touches, and I expect them to do the same.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And then I picked an under, actually. Marquise Brown, under 41.5 receiving yards. He's a deep ball guy with very inconsistent hands. He had one last week, so I think that probably ups the line this week. And it's just a big gut feeling. I think a good Buffalo defense isn't going to let that shit fly against someone like Marquise Brown. So I bet he gets 0 yards.
There we go.
I don't know, maybe.
I mean, zeros, maybe. I don't know.
But yeah,
But
4
that's
legs.
plus 1177, but there is a profit boost, so we're at plus 1530. So do what you want with that. Yeah, but let's make a little bit of money, have some Super Bowl money, and
Yeah.
we're gonna have some fun this week, y'all.
Hey, man, I said 22.5. It was basically that. So that was perfect. Just as we expected, a quick conference pound the walk episode, y'all. I appreciate everyone tuning in.
Yeah.
Any final remarks? Oh, dude, you just reminded me. Fuck, it probably won't work. While you do this outro, which is, let's see if he called. He might not answer, y'all. I'm gonna ask him the score. What's the score of the game? If he answers.
He's a Washington fan.
Yeah, and he's definitely our number one viewer, and he might not answer. He might not answer. Hey, it's Spencer. Oh yeah, I think the Washington's gonna win, 28-17. Thanks, Spencer.
Did you call Spencer or Patrick Mahomes?
They yeah, they're related. They both are gay.
And that's how we're gonna close out this week's episode of Pound the Walk Podcast. Buddy.
Pound the walk, baby. Thank you, guys.